The world has always been fascinated by phenomena, special powers that go beyond the normal limits of human perception. We yearn to see the future, to read the minds of others, to heal all diseases with a single thought. In Eastern spiritual traditions, these powers are called Siddhi. A deep misconception often arises: the possession of Siddhi is equated with the state of true enlightenment. People often assume that once someone manifests psychic powers, they have definitely reached the pinnacle of understanding and liberation. However, Ramana Maharshi, with his insight into the nature of reality, lifted the veil of this misconception. He pointed out that Siddhi is a manifestation of the mind, a mind trained to a transcendent level, capable of controlling energy, matter, and even time. Enlightenment, on the other hand, is the complete absence of the mind, a state beyond all concepts, all forms, all distinctions. This is a crucial distinction. One is an achievement within the mind, the other is a transcendence of all the bonds of the mind. A person can fly in the air, read the thoughts of others, but if the I, the personal ego, is still there, then suffering still remains. Because the ego is the source of all attachments, all afflictions. What is Siddhi? When supernatural powers mislead the journey of self-realization. In the Indian spiritual stream, Siddhi, or supernatural powers, is a phenomenon that is systematically recorded and classified. Powers such as clairvoyance, telepathy, or the ability to project one's soul, are not fictional but are considered byproducts of deep spiritual practice. Ancient scriptures such as Patanjali's Yoga Sutra have described in detail their origins. Intensive meditation, continuous concentration of the mind, lasting for many years, even many lifetimes, can unlock latent powers. Controlling prana, through the techniques of pranayama, breath control, practitioners can regulate and direct life energy, prana, leading to supernatural abilities. Asceticism and rituals, firm belief, sacred rituals, and asceticism practiced over many lifetimes can also be the source of Siddhi. Blessings, sometimes Siddhi can also arise due to blessings from higher realms, devata, or from enlightened gurus. However, it is here that Ramana Maharshi's extraordinary vision draws a clear line between what the mind aspires to, the radiant powers, and the absolute truth that the mind cannot reach. Siddhi is a phenomenon of a refined mind. It remains within the realm of duality, of subject and object. Atmajnana, realization of the self, is the complete absence of the mind. It is a state beyond all concepts, all experiences, all dualistic existence. On the one hand, there is skill, a mastery in controlling natural or supernatural laws. On one side is the absolute reality, ungraspable, uncontrollable. On the other side is the phenomenon that arises in the stream of consciousness, which will also disappear. On the other side is the immortal foundation of all phenomena. Ramana Maharshi used a simple but powerful image to illustrate. Siddhi can make you fly in the air. But when you come down, the ego is still there. And if the ego is still there, suffering is still there. This saying sticks in our minds, awakening us from the illusion of power. If the ultimate goal of practice is liberation from suffering, then Siddhi is not the path. It is just an interesting stopover, a side door that may open up extraordinary experiences, but does not lead to the chamber of the self. In this brilliant light, the question is no longer how to have Siddhi, but it must be a deeper question, touching the core of existence. Who is it that wants Siddhi? And is there a he? This is a direct inquiry into the nature of the self, the real starting point of the journey to self-realization. Psychic powers are manifestations of energy, not immutable truth. Imagine a vast and deep ocean. On the surface, the waves rise and roll, creating a majestic spectacle. They are powerful, but no matter how majestic, waves are only temporary phenomena, rising from the depths of the ocean, then dissolving back into the ocean. Siddhi is like that. They are powerful ripples in the consciousness, extraordinary manifestations of energy that make a deep impression, creating a great impact, but they are not the eternal nature of the ocean, that is, the absolute truth. Ramana Maharshi did not deny the existence of Siddhi. What he emphasized was a clear distinction between these phenomena and the true nature of truth. He did not allow us to equate the finite with the infinite, the temporary with the eternal. He spoke with a clarity, a thunderclap in the clear sky. Siddhi makes you special. Enlightenment makes you disappear. Stop and let these words sink into your cells. Feel the power and the deep meaning in each word. A special person still has an ego, a self that is identifying, seeking recognition, seeking distinction. They still have something to protect, to prove, to control. As long as there is the existence of this special person, there is still distinction, separation, and attachment. But the person who has disappeared has nothing to hold on to, no one to protect, nothing to prove, to control. The ego has dissolved, giving way to the pure presence of the self. And only when there is no one to own the truth, can the truth live and manifest fully through you. Siddhi is the instrument of the discriminating person. It requires a subject, the one who has Siddhi, and an object, the thing that is realized by Siddhi. Enlightenment is the collapse of all distinctions. It is a state of union, where subject and object dissolve into a single, indivisible entity. Why is this so important? Because millions of people yearn to become something more. They are busy learning how to open chakras, awaken kundalini, communicate with supernatural beings, pursue mystical experiences. But they rarely stop and ask honestly, who wants all this? Ramana Maharshi never taught you to become someone great, a saint with extraordinary powers. He taught you to disappear completely, so that the nameless, formless, belonging to no one, can live and manifest through you. Truth does not need a knower. Truth cannot be possessed by an individual. And whatever you get, whether Siddhi or any other attainment, is something you will lose. Only the unattainable, which is already you from the beginning, cannot be lost. And that, you. This is the deepest invitation, to let go of all notions of specialness, to let go of all craving for power, to return to the fullness of emptiness, to your true nature. Why can unenlightened people have Siddhi? When ability does not mean awakening. A puzzling paradox. There are people who seem to possess extraordinary powers. They can see through chakras, read past lives, heal illnesses with just a touch. However, when we come into contact with them and listen to their thoughts, witness their behavior, we realize a painful truth: the ego is still intact, even stronger. They easily get angry when their ego is touched, openly proud of their spiritual height, or carry a heavy feeling that they have a special mission that is superior to others. This makes the observer ask the question: they have supernatural powers, so why are they still suffering, angry, and entangled in worldly games of winning and losing? The answer lies in the sharp distinction that the Saint Ramana Maharshi made between psychic power, the transcendental abilities developed by the mind, and self-realization, the realization of the true self, beyond the limitations of the mind and ego. A refined mind can create magic, but not liberation. Just as a master craftsman can create exquisite sculptures, a person who persistently refines his energy, thoughts and concentration long enough can manipulate subtle reality. He can change his vibrational frequency, influence his biology, and even seemingly cross over to other dimensions. But the mind is still the mind. The ego is still there. The spiritual self, instead of disappearing, is clothed in a new, more sparkling, more refined robe, but still the ego. And so suffering still smolders in the unconscious moments, in the moments when the cloak of pride is torn by reality. I am healing others. I know more than you. I am closer to the truth. This is the silent but powerful voice of the ego, now disguised as a special spiritual person. Ramana called it the subtle ego, harder to recognize, and sometimes more dangerous than the ordinary ego, because it is hidden in the cloak of morality and spirituality. True awakening does not require power, just seeing clearly. Ramana Maharshi's path is not one of addition, but of subtraction. You do not need to heal anyone, you do not need to expand consciousness in the sense of gathering more information or experience. You do not need to see auras, astral planes, or divine forms. You just need to see clearly that all these things are not you. And even more deeply, see, there is no one to achieve anything. Ramana did not teach you more anything. He taught you less. Less ego. Less striving to achieve something. Less clinging to strange experiences, however beautiful or extraordinary. Less identifying with the one who is on the spiritual path. The seer is not important. What is seen is not important. Just see clearly that there is no seer. This is the ultimate inquiry, leading straight to liberation. The painful but liberating truth: you are not special. On the spiritual journey, the greatest pain is not the loss of Siddhi or any power. The real pain, but also the greatest liberation, is the loss of the feeling that I am special. Because that very feeling, so subtle that it seems divine, is the final barrier, the invisible wall that separates you from the ultimate truth. It is the anchor that holds the ego, even as it dresses itself in the guise of enlightenment. Only when there is no one left to be, no one left to possess, does the unpossessable become manifest. And that unpossessable is your true self, the eternal truth. Conclusion: why is Siddhi not a sign of liberation? Because Siddhi still operates in a dualistic world, one who has the power, one who enjoys it. Because it is still possessed by someone, and that person can be arrogant, hurt, or seek recognition. Because it makes us stop halfway, thinking we have arrived. And because, in the eyes of enlightenment, there is no one special. No one higher. No one closer. There is only one, existing in all forms. Enlightenment does nothing, but dissolves everything. All concepts revolve around doing. How to be liberated. How to purify karma. What to do to accumulate merit. How to reach a higher state. We assume that enlightenment is the final result of a process of subtle, continuous, persistent, even painful effort. Our minds are always searching for a method, a specific action to achieve this ultimate goal. Ramana Maharshi appears like an unshakable, steady mountain amidst the chaotic flow of concepts and methods, and sweeps away all these misconceptions. Enlightenment does not come from doing. It comes when the doer is no more. There is nothing to attain, and no one to attain. Enlightenment is not a state at the end of the path, but the loss of the one who is going. Ramana Maharshi pointed out, you need not achieve anything. You need only realize that you are not the one who achieves. Let this resound in your heart. When you truly understand this, the whole notion of a goal to be conquered in the mind collapses. What remains, not a meaningless void, but a radiant, perfect silence, where everything has always been as it is, perfect and intact from the beginning. Actions can change reality, but they cannot destroy illusions. You can be a vegetarian, meditate diligently, recite millions of mantras, observe strict precepts, practice charity, and do good deeds incessantly. They purify the mind, weaken the ego, soften attachments, and create noble qualities. But, as long as there is a doer, you are still playing in the cycle of cause and effect. You are still an agent of karma, even good karma. And as long as there is karma, there is a doer, you are bound. Enlightenment, according to Ramana, does not come from cleansing the mind, but from seeing that the mind is not you. It does not come from achieving perfect stillness, but from no longer having someone to try to achieve it. It is not the mind that becomes still. It is you who see that you were never the mind. This is a radical liberation from all identification. Enlightenment does not change the world, it changes the truth you live by. An enlightened person does not transform the world into an earthly paradise. They do not automatically create a halo of light, do not fly between realms, do not transmit special healing energy to everyone. They still live, eat, breathe, go to the bathroom, sleep, experience pain, illness, and ultimately death like any other ordinary person. But there is a unique difference, a radical transformation. They have no one to protect, no one to control, no ego to serve, to feed. They are empty, but not soulless, not indifferent. They are absent from the ego stage, but their presence is full, diffuse, limitless. They do not try to do anything in particular, but the natural light of their liberation can burn away all the illusions of those around them. Enlightenment is impossible, and therefore, impossible to lose. Everything you create, you will lose. Everything you accumulate will be taken away by time, changed. But the uncreated, the inherently present, cannot be destroyed, cannot be lost. Enlightenment does not come because it has never been absent. It is your natural nature, hidden by layers of illusion. You cannot do anything to get it, any more than you can get the breath you are breathing. You can only see clearly that everything you think you are, every identity, every role, every experience, is not you. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the memory. I am not the one who is searching. What am I then? In the ashes of negation, of total surrender, the unborn, the unlost, the absolute freedom will reveal itself brilliantly. Conclusion: do nothing, but dissolve everything. Ramana Maharshi is not asking you to practice becoming someone better, a more spiritual version of yourself. He is not asking you to abandon the world, to renounce everyday life. He is asking you only to see clearly that the you who is trying to become is not real. You are not the seeker. You are not the enlightened one. You are not the failure. You are the seeing, formless, nameless, that sees through it all. Siddhi is outside, Atmajnana is home. Siddhi is what you can have. But Atmajnana, self-realization, is what you already are, when there is nothing left to have. You can travel the universe, open all the doors of the mind, manipulate space, but if you do not know who you are still outside yourself. Enlightenment is not glorious, not special, not brilliant. Only absolute ordinariness, where the self has nothing to cling to. You do not need magic. You only need the radical simplicity of being no one. And in that emptiness, the self appears, wordless, unmoving, unclaimed, but radiant like life itself.